Just because a home looks perfect doesn't mean it is. I toured a home with some clients recently here in Roseburg, which they thought was going to be their dream home until we actually toured it and spotted something that could have cost them thousands. So let me show you the red flags to look out for when you're looking for your dream home. Hey everybody, I'm Jerry Norman with Oregon Life Homes. I've been selling real estate here in the Roseburg area for the last few years and I absolutely love it. In this video, I am going to give you the red flags of things you need to watch out for when looking and touring for those homes. So with that, let's get on with the video. All right, so recently I just toured a home with one of my buyers, and this house looked like it was the one. Updated interior, nice fenced backyard, and priced just right for their budget and the Roseburg area. As we stepped into the kitchen, I noticed something weird. The floor was slightly wavy and the laminate floor was shifting. And there was a small gap between the sliding glass door in the kitchen to the dining room. And so I noticed that the floor was not attached. It was just a floating laminate floor and it was shifting back and forth. So red flag that it was a quick do-it-yourself cheap fix to cover up the flooring and to make it look like new flooring, which in 6 months or a year of living there, that floor would have looked like garbage. So what looks like a dream home can hide some costly surprises. Now, as you're touring these homes, these are the red flags to watch out for. Red flag number 1, fresh paint in just isolated places. If you're taking a look at the ceiling and you notice one spot of fresh paint or a wall that has fresh paint, maybe it's covering a patch, maybe it's covering something more, especially if it's in the ceiling. Could be covering up a little bit of mold or water damage. So it's possible that they are hiding some previous repairs. In Roseburg and the surrounding area, this is definitely something to watch out for in older homes. And if they are painting just one area, I'm thinking, what are they hiding? So a tip when looking at homes, look at what was not done as much as what was done. Red flag number 2, overpowering smells. Now, if you walk into a house and it's got a ton of candles burning, or even worse, the plug-in air fresheners, what are they hiding? Could be pet smells, could be pet odors, could be a moldy, musty smell. It's possible that they're hiding something. A while back, I walked through a house and every room had either a candle or a plug-in air freshener. I thought that was really super strange. Come to find out, they had 5 large dogs in the house. This was also noticeable because there was a lot of wear and tear throughout the house, which was evident for these large dogs. But I could just imagine what this place smelled like with all these candles burning. It was so much it gave me a headache by the time we left. A side note, if you are a seller, a lot of people think that baking cookies for an open house or before a showing is a great idea. Makes it feel home and welcoming. Not the case. A lot of people might think, or I would think, what are they covering up? Whereas you might not be thinking that as a seller, but that smell does hide things. People want to know exactly what they're getting into. Red flag number 3, obvious DIY renovations. Look for those floors that bounce or shift, or backsplashes or tile with mismatched grout. Could mean that they did some kind of fix and replaced a couple tiles. Well, what were they fixing? That's always what I'm looking for. What are they trying to fix, or what did they fix, and was it done right? Sometimes the tiles are uneven. You know, the lines have been trying to hide something, or they might just fix something, but did they do it right? And did they really do it right? Because if they're cutting corners on visual aspects like the even tile, then what corners did they cut elsewhere of what they did fix? This would have me worried. And if there's any additions, you want to make sure that those were permitted, because if they weren't permitted, then it wasn't done by a licensed contractor. And if it wasn't done by a licensed contractor, as far as the electrical and the plumbing and everything else that goes along with those additions, then was the electrical and the plumbing and everything else done correctly? If there was permits done, then those permits would need to be inspected before it was completed. One tip is you can always check with the county records to see if permits were pulled, and if they were and when the work was completed. If not, then it was probably done by the homeowner themselves, and was it done correctly? There was one house where I walked into just outside of Roseburg. I'm almost positive that the homeowner did their own electrical work. There was outlets everywhere, but they were so mismatched, it looked ridiculous. And it was just obvious that it was all do-it-yourself additions and electrical and probably plumbing. And the buyers that I had there, we ran away. It just did not work. And it was obvious that there was definitely going to be a lot of troubles in the future. Red flag number 4, foundation cracks and ceiling cracks. So here in Roseburg, it's going to be hard to find a house without foundation cracks. Now, I'm not a foundation expert, but what I have learned is that vertical cracks can be okay. Those are usually just settling cracks. But if they're more horizontal cracks, something to be a little bit worried about. And any crack, if you can stick the head of a pencil into the crack, then it could be something worth looking into before purchasing. Also, ceiling cracks, you're going to have a lot of ceiling cracks. It's just because of the house settles. Sometimes it's just a poor tape joint that was done on the sheetrock, and that just might crack. But one thing that I always look for is above windows. If you get diagonal cracks, and a lot of times those diagonal cracks will be on one whole side of the house, that means that house is shifting, and it's just something to watch out for. So if you see a lot of these cracks like this before making an offer or after making an offer, you might want to get a foundation expert in there or a structural engineer just to check it out. These cost a lot of money, so you would want to take that into account when making your offer. Most of the time, most of my buyers, they just want to walk away. They don't even want to deal with it. And I don't blame them. That's a big issue, because if you're buying a house like that and it becomes an issue, or it's not an issue, and you don't fix it while living there, then your resale value, you're going to have a problem selling it in the future. As long as you can get those addressed, then it may be worth it, but most of the time, all my buyers, they just want to run away. So, and I don't blame them. And then another thing about foundations is you want to make sure that there's no water in the crawl space. If you get water in the crawl space, it's going to create moisture in the subfloor, and it could cause mold or rot, bugs, or whatever. So a good tip is to look at homes when it's raining, when the weather is bad. That's the best time to look at homes. You really get an idea of how that house handles the weather. I know it's difficult to get out of the car, walk around, your shoes are muddy, you got to take them off going into the house, but you can really understand the house a lot better if you're looking at the house in poor weather. And for example, so toured another house, and it had a basement, and it was all concrete basement, and the seller has said that the basement had been waterproofed. Well, we were there on a rainy day, and there was a ton of water coming through some of the cracks and pooling up in the floor of the basement, which if you were to store anything down there, all that stuff would have gotten wet. So obviously the foundation was not waterproofed. So it was a really good idea that we had gone and saw this house when it was pouring down rain outside. And here in Oregon, Roseburg, we get a lot of days of rain. So not a hard problem to go look at homes in the rain. However, in the summertime, different story. Now that brings me on to red flag number 5, neglected landscaping. If you got brushes and trees overgrowing the house, this could definitely be a problem. Here in Roseburg, if you got a tree that's going over the house, you're going to have a moss problem most likely. Moss on a roof is not great. It ages the roof much more quickly. Something to watch out for. You don't want shrubs up against the house. So those should already be trimmed back. And if you got large trees, it could be a problem. You know, if you got large trees, those could pose a hazard on the house if those trees aren't healthy. If you have a lot of shrubbery around the house that's not away from it, you could have problems with squirrels, bugs, rodents. For neglected properties, a lot of times there is tons of shrubbery that is overpowering the house, and this really is aging the house more quickly than it should here in Roseburg. Red flag number 6, seller disclosures. Now, if you see a lot of unknown check marks all over the property disclosures, you want to ask why, such as roof, water, heater, HVAC, you're going to want to ask why those are unknown. And it's possible that the seller really doesn't know, but are they hiding something? In Oregon, it is required for once you get under contract that the seller gives you a seller disclosure statement. If you don't get that throughout any time of being in escrow, then you always have the right to back out up until closing. So if you don't get those seller disclosures, ask for them. But a lot of times they're not always detailed. And even if you do get one, it doesn't always mean that they're accurate. It is the seller's responsibility to make sure that all the disclosures in the disclosure statement are filled out correctly and honestly. And then once you are under contract, in your buyer inspection period, always do the home inspections. This one tip could cost you thousands. Now, here's some of the things that we've gone over. When you fall in love with a house, it's definitely easy to overlook some minor things. But if you catch these red flags in time before making an offer, you really could save yourself a lot of stress and a lot of heartache throughout. Most of the time when I walk through a house, I can tell if a home is going to have a lot of issues coming up on the home inspection. And I would let you know that, hey, this is something that might come up. And as you're walking through the house with me, I'm going to be pointing out all the things that I see wrong, and I'm going to show you the good things. But I'm not going to hide those bad things, because I really want you to get into a house that you absolutely love. I want you to get your dream home. I don't want you to get your dream home and it turn into a nightmare. So with that, thanks for watching the video. Hit that subscribe button if you got some information out of this. I do these videos every week and put them out. So if you are thinking about moving to Roseburg or anywhere around Douglas County, Coos County, Lane, Jackson, Josephine, I work all those areas. And I really specialize in helping out of area buyers move and relocate to this area. So if you are thinking about making that move, give me a call, text, email. All my contact info is in the description. I'd love to talk to you. And if you got questions on any properties that you are looking at, give me a call. I'd love to help you answer any questions that I can. And if you are thinking about moving to Roseburg, check out these other videos about living and buying in Roseburg. Have a great day. Bye.